Hey there, dudes and dudettes. Welcome to another installment of Devil's Details. In this video, we will finish up our study of the Van Halen classic Runnin With The Devil as I teach you both guitar solos and the backing tracks. Hey, if we are just meeting for the first time, my name is Jeff Allard, the Details Dude, here at your service to help you get better faster on guitar with learning by listening. And I'll also be bringing you detailed tutorials on how to play classic rock songs just like they are on the record. So if that sounds interesting to you, don't be shy about subscribing. And if a weekly notification isn't super annoying, go ahead and ring that bell down there as well. So with that, let's just dive right in here. Tuning for this song will be a half step down, as I touched on in an earlier lesson. If you play against the track, it might not quite sound right because it actually comes out more like a quarter step down, and I'll do a lesson soon in the future on how I get around that. Also note that I will place links in the description. I'm going to try and do them as time links where you can see video evidence of Ed Van Halen actually playing these licks the way I'm talking about. Unfortunately, in my last video, I found out some of those time links didn't work, so I will also spell out exactly what time you should be looking at, in case those videos just bring you right to the beginning. So one interesting thing to note about the solos in Runnin' With The Devil is they're actually the overdubbed guitar track. The main track keeps playing because it's not even done finishing the main riff when all of a sudden the solo cuts in on the fourth beat. So the main guitar is still finishing this idea. And on that last slide is where the solo guitar starts coming in. So in the meanwhile, the main guitar just goes into playing the backing chords. And we'll get to those later on here in the lesson. So the main theme of the solo starts with those kind of pickup notes. It slides. Okay, so what you've got is basically two 4-bar solos which are essentially the same. The first two measures are pretty much identical. The third measure is where the difference occurs, and it's in the second half of that measure right before you get to the concluding lick. And a lot of tabs will show that the final lick is a little bit different in each case. But I think that really the only difference in those last measures is what I would call spontaneous execution. In other words, I think the intent is to play the same thing both times. Maybe it just didn't happen, but it sounded awesome, and so they left it on the record. Nothing wrong with that. So melodically, the solo really just outlines the chords that are in the backing track. It's a pretty well thought out, very succinct, simple solo. And having said that, you want to make sure you get your technique down, like your string muting with your right and left hand. Get the palm mutes where they go, accented notes, nice smooth slides. In fact, if you want to get a good lesson on the left and right hand muting, check out, it's a recent Ben Eller, and I think it was This Is Why You Suck at Guitar Because Your Muting Sucks or something like that. I'll have a link in the description. So melodically, both solos really just follow the chords of the backing track. They do a nice job outlining them. So you have an A major, and then you go down to a G major, back up to an A major, and then while the backing track is closing out, it does an A, G, E descending kind of a thing. And what the solo is doing is, while that's happening, you're ending on an ascending incremental double stop bend. So there's kind of a cool sort of counterpoint thing going on there where your backing track is doing a descending thing, but your solo is doing an ascending thing. But harmonically, they're converging in a way that makes sense and sounds good. Pretty cool. Okay, so basically As I've mentioned, the first two bars are pretty much the same thing in both solos. So you have this with your little lead in, and then so that part's really not going to change. In fact, we can even take it just a little bit further. So you'll end up with this. This part should be basically identical for both solos. And that right there, that's where solo 1 and solo 2 differ. Solo 1, you do this. You do a bend up to a B and resolve on an A, so you're kind of using the second as a passing tone and resolving to that root. So the second time through, you just do this. Big 2.5 step bend and release, and you're only releasing it down to 1.5 steps. So you're bending up to an A and releasing it down to a G, back up to an A, in rhythm as the tab points out below. It's kind of a so you get the bend, and then it's 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 of those after the main bend. Okay, and so then that lick that closes out the solo, to me it looks like he's doing the same thing with his hand on both of them. On the record, on the record it's like this. That's for the first solo. For some reason on the first one, he seems to slide up the G string to the 12th fret and hits that B string 12th fret twice. I don't know if it's like it was maybe a small mistake and they left it, or if he meant to do that. He may have very well have meant to do that. So same measure on the second solo though. He goes back to sliding up the D string, hit the G string, and then go to the B string, and that one sounds like this. And then on that second time, you can only really hear the B string being played on that last lick until the very last note. Then you hear them both. So I don't know if that was on purpose or if he was trying to hit the double stops again and it just didn't quite happen. Obviously, we all know it sounds fantastic the way they captured it. So, okay, so if we want to go through both of these quickly, I'll go through the first solo, and then we'll go through the second one so you can get them both in their totality instead of, just these parts are the same. But as you've seen, they are very similar. Here's the first solo. And then the second one all together sounds like this. And I tried to emulate the, hitting only the one string. Honestly, that's going to be one of those things where because of the way those notes are played, whether you play the double stops or play it exactly the way he did it on the album, it's going to sound just fine. If you're getting value from this, please go ahead and click the like button. If you'd like to see more tutorials like this and lessons on transcribing songs for yourself, definitely hit the subscribe button. So very much like the solos themselves, the backing track is pretty much the same on each one, just a couple minor subtle differences in like timing of slides and embellishments. So basically it's A, G, A, E, and big slide up to probably around the A note there. Okay? So here's the first one. Okay, I think I overslid a little bit, but you get the idea. Second one, not too much different. You'll notice slight difference in the fourth measure and the way you come out of that first G chord. Alright there, dudes and dudettes, if you've been getting value from this video or even just been enjoying it, please hit like and subscribe so you're sure to not miss a weekly episode. And please drop me a comment. Let me know what you liked, what didn't work for you, maybe even just something you'd like more info on in the future. And if you did enjoy this video and you haven't seen my others and want to learn how to play the complete song, be sure and check out my other videos right here.